Summit to Image, this is Base Camp. Weather tracking shows storm building at 26,000 feet. Advise return. I repeat, advise return.
I didn't believe it could be done.
I'm on the flight. I thought I was paying you to get me to the top.
I think we should keep going.
You only win big when you risk big.
You're falling and this rope is holding your life.
Nobody died yet. Hopefully nobody will die.
The only true way to affirm life is in the face of death.
This December, Columbia Pictures will take you on the most exciting adventure of the year. Up the most treacherous mountain in the world. Starring Chris O'Donnell, Bill Paxton, Robin Tunney, and Scott Glenn. Hold your breath as filmmaker Martin Campbell, director of GoldenEye and The Mask of Zorro, takes you to the vertical limit. This emotionally charged action-adventure story is about a brother who risks everything to rescue his sister and her summit team by scaling K2, the world's deadliest mountain peak, in a race against time. Our camera team joined cast and crew on location in this beautiful but treacherous environment to bring you a unique and revealing look at the making of Vertical Limit.
It's just impossible. And the only way to do it is just to go at it.
This is one of those films where when an actor says, well, I'm an actor, I can look like a climber, it didn't work. We needed to put all our actors through a very rigorous 4-week climbing and training period.
That's it.
Indoors, the actors begin an intensive training course under the watchful eye of a team of world-class climbers.
We had the full mountain climbing boot camp. The second day I was here, they helicoptered me up to that mountain, actually. We've done a lot of climbing out here on the rocks. We've done a lot of ice climbing. Quite a bit of training, actually. I mean, it's a pretty physical movie.
They've all did a month of climbing, and oddly enough, it's paid off.
They put crampons on my boots and ice picks in my hands and said climb, and that was my introduction to the climbing here.
The hazard is, if you fall off, you're not going to hurt yourself in the snow, but if there's someone below you and you rake them with the crampons, you could do them some damage.
Outdoors, they have just 4 weeks to become mountaineers. Quite a challenge if you're from New York.
I never went to sleepaway camp. My parents never went camping. We built forts in the living room. That's about my extent with nature and camping before this. As an actor, you're treated like a child most of the time. You get actor-proof everything. It's like being 3, because they don't want you to hurt yourself.
Go up there higher.
We're training, and they put razor-sharp crampons on my feet. And I was like, no. It's a mistake. I'm an actor. I'm an idiot. I can't have these things on my feet.
They do it without hesitation, and they throw themselves into what would otherwise be fairly precarious stuff for actors to do.
Ice climbing is some good action. I like that we've been thrown right into it. We didn't have to take 10 years of classes.
I thought the only thing I wouldn't like was ice climbing, which I figured would be kind of scary and dangerous. Just terrified me. And then when I kicked the first crampon in and put the first ice tool into the ice, it just put a huge smile on my face. And it's like climbing up the side of a giant diamond made by God.
Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Yes, he was going on and on at me about the bloody ice climb. Oh, we put the scene on the ice wall. He pestered me, and I went, oh, for God's sake.
I said, please, Martin, put a climbing scene in. So he finally said, okay, if you just stop bothering me. And he said, "Will you shut up about climbing ice if I put it in an ice climbing scene?" So I said, "Yeah, I will."
Anyway, finally I did. And actually, he's terrific in it. There's a fantastic shot of him actually doing it, climbing up this huge wall.
Like an invading army, every morning a fleet of helicopters transports 60 crew and 20 tons of equipment high into the southern Alps of New Zealand.
It's a logistical nightmare, actually. The whole crew plus all the equipment was sent up to wherever the location. Often it was about 20 minutes away. It's say 10,000 feet, and first of all the equipment would be flown in, all the catering would be flown in, the toilets would be flown in.
When the airlift is complete and the mountain safety team is satisfied, the stars get the call. It's time to go to work.
We chose to film in a real environment, up on the mountains, with our actors going into situations that actors don't normally go. And they've responded fantastically to it.
It's precarious, it's scary, but it pays off because the shots that we have put our actors, put our story firmly in an alpine location, and no amount of computer-generated or visual effects can ever really capture the same feeling and emotion.
It's really strange to be in a helicopter every day. My mom's really not into it.
In one of the most ambitious scenes of the film, a Pakistani military helicopter attempts a daring rescue mission at 19,000 feet on K2. For the crew, the demands are technical. For the cast, frighteningly physical.
When that turbulence starts going, your heart kind of flutters and you grab tight to something. And we had a couple moments, we've had a couple moments shooting on this that it was pretty realistic.
Three climbers who are going to the summit of K2 find themselves trapped in an ice cave.
6 people go up the mountain to rescue 3 people who are trapped. Peter, that's the brother, has to go up and rescue his sister at the top of K2.
There's not a chance he's not going after her.
That's going to be a speed ascent climbing in pairs.
I think it's suicide.
We just leave him up there, what do you call that?
You're willing to risk 6 lives for the sake of 3?
My sister's dying up there, Mr. Wick.
Up there, you're not dying, Mr. Garrett. You're dead. So he organizes a rescue attempt to get her out of the cave, and I lead that attempt.
Do you take the life of one person to save 2 others? And that's the whole dilemma of this movie,
Chris O'Donnell plays the role of Peter Garrett, who must climb K2 in order to rescue his dying sister, who's trapped in an ice cave near its peak.
It's an interesting character to play just because he's obviously gone through a very traumatic experience and has a chance to kind of redeem himself.
Chris's character is a very emotionally scarred character, and he has to overcome that and somehow bring closure to that terrible nightmare that happens at the opening of the movie.
Because again, it is an action film. Anytime they stick you into a little scene there's no way to ramp up for it, really. It's just kind of jump into this spot and your sister's about to die, there's blizzards in your face, it's trying to put this all together. It's more challenging than it seems.
It's a tough role. On the one hand, he has to have that emotional scar. On the other hand, he has to be very tough and resilient to get up the mountain.
Chris would prove exactly how tough and resilient he was by rising to the challenge of descending the face of a 2,000-foot cliff for one of the movie's most adrenaline-charged scenes.
They're not too bad.
Cool.
They're not shaking too bad. The fact that we went to these locations and, shot the movie where we did, is definitely going to make a difference on screen.
Okay, now you sit into it, let it take the weight.
Audiences are smart and they can tell when something's real and something's fake. And I mean, we were just in some of the most ridiculous locations you can imagine. Some of the footage that you look at in the film, you think for a second, oh, that's fake. And then you realize, oh my gosh, they're really up there. They're really, doing that.
We'll see it. The good thing is, if you just don't look down.
No, don't look down.
I don't know what's going on.
People are going to be blown away by what they're seeing.
That's cool. That's fun. Separate one, I suppose. I'm glad it's over. At least that part.
Robin Tunney plays Annie Garrett, Peter's sister, who's hired as an expedition leader by an eccentric millionaire to summit K2.
Vaughn's an aggressive guy, but he knows what he wants and he goes for it. I admire him. I liked the character because she was incredibly individual in her own person. A lot of times when you're looking for roles in film as a woman, you're sort of the girlfriend or the wife or the daughter or the appendage. And this woman is, she's very independent, and that's hard to come by. And I also wanted to learn how to climb.
Robin's character, Annie Garrett, she believes in self-sacrifice.
You have. We can't waste resources on a lost cause.
Saving somebody's life is not a lost cause.
It is if you know they can't be saved. Why should 3 people die if 2 can live?
She'd rather give her life than save, to save somebody else's. And he's sort of more of a Darwinist, survival of the fittest, and he's out for himself.
Bill Paxton plays Elliot Vaughan, a wealthy and ambitious self-centered entrepreneur who wants to conquer K2 in order to make a life statement.
He's very much a man, a self-made man with his own self-made laws, and when push comes to shove, by golly, he's going to live through this thing at any cost.
You know the reality, even if they get to us in time, they're not going to be able to carry you down. Not from this altitude. Now, Annie wants to give you the decks. I understand that, I do. But you and I know. It's just delaying what's inevitable.
It's a great character to play. It's a character that he doesn't apologize for his actions. So you might like him, you might not like him, but by God, you're going to respect him.
This is Summit Team.
Annie Garrett, is that you?
It's Elliot Vaughn. Who's this?
Montgomery Wick.
There is something between Wick and Vaughan that we don't know what it is to start with, but gradually the story unfolds. There's a history between those two.
Scott Glenn plays Montgomery Wick, a reclusive, rugged mountaineering pro who is motivated by revenge into rescuing the ill-fated Summit Team.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him.
I can't let you do it.
Peter, do you know where you are? Above 24,000, you're at the vertical limit. You're already dying. Look at you. You can hardly stand. You think you can stop me? Go ahead.
It's an incredible character because he's really a very complex man who makes a full, complete loop of his life and does it all in the course of the movie.
Right, here we go, please. Everybody concentrate.
Renowned producer and director Martin Campbell delivers high-voltage action and exhilarating suspense in one of his best directorial outings.
In his head, he's already cut this whole movie. So you get in there and he knows exactly what he wants, which is the way I like to work.
You know that what he's going after is what is exactly right for his vision. And as an actor, that makes you really feel secure that that you're going to wind up with something that's good.
Don't do that because it looks like she's got such a fright she turned. Do you see what I mean?
And to be able to do a movie like this, you have to be a little bit crazy. And I just find that really appealing to be able to work with a director that is as hard and tough and as wonderful and warm as he is.
And in your own time, Bill, action.
Come in, base. This is Summit Team. Do you read me? Come in, base. This is Vaughn, Summit Team. Do you read me?
Cut it.
Shouldn't I just keep doing it?
I love the way he puts us through our paces on these shots. And I love the way he knows every shot that he wants.
Now, just a couple of notes. Take the step. Don't dwell too long before you do it. But just make them sort of.
He actually talks to the actors, and he won't stop until he gets it perfect.
You know, actors have got to trust you that you know what you're doing, and that you know, the secret of all directing is to know the script and the characters better than anybody else, as simple as that.
He lives, sleeps, breathes, and eats this movie, and I've never been offered the kind of rehearsal that I have by him in a big movie ever. He will answer any question that you have. I mean, it's amazing. If I were him, I'd be in an insane asylum.
K2, the most deadly, the most feared, the most highly prized jewel in mountaineering's crown. For every 10 climbers who reach the summit, the bodies of another 7 lie frozen on its unforgiving slopes.
But K2, since it's much more of a challenging all-around climb, it's more of a prize. And there's a lot of climbers that are willing to push beyond certain logical limits just to climb the mountain, and as a result a lot of people get into trouble on K2 and often don't get down.
The mountain plays the monster, basically. I guess it's the monster that they have to overcome. If you think of George and the Dragon, well, it's the dragon.
Cut it, and we cut. Feet up for you.
Yeah, not bad. Steve, just hold there for a minute. Just go to your right whisker.
We take our actors to 8, 9, 10,000 feet and put them in an environment which is as extreme and is as dangerous and as beautiful and as wonderful as the real thing in the Himalayas.
Mount Cook, a worthy stand-in for the deadly K2, can be just as treacherous for those prepared to take their endeavor to the vertical limit.
The glaciers are as big, the crevasses are as deep, the terrain is as steep, the weather is as bad, and the scenery is as beautiful. So it's a very good location to shoot a film like this.
Parallels can be drawn between the dilemma the production and safety crew face and the drama they are trying to create.
You know, K2 is the hardest mountain in the world to climb. I know it's been this production's villain on many occasions, or should I say the weather to go along with it. And it's a little scary because the storms can move in so fast when you're up there.
We were filming, I remember looking up and there was a bit of a cloud behind us. I looked back, looked through the view and came up, and suddenly we were hit, we were surrounded by a complete whiteout.
They couldn't even get the equipment off, they just had to get all the people off. So that makes it kind of exciting, gives it a little bit of an adrenaline rush.
Let's stop packing it up, we're out of here.
Stop packing it up.
Let's pull that set up off the hill.
What did they say over there? Did you hear?
Coming in.
We've got tents, sleeping bags, worst case.
Come on up, if you're ready to go and you got a harness, step on up, we'll rope you up.
My hands are gone. What's yours, Mari? This one?
Glamorous. Wow.
Take it nice and slow, go at the pace of the person in front.
Up here, the weather is notoriously difficult to predict. If it does turn vicious, you should really be someplace else.
Ed Viesters, it's an honor to meet you. Elliot Vaughn.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, you wouldn't believe this guy. 5 times up Everest. One of the only men to climb 12 of the world's 14 highest peaks. All without oxygen.
I was there in '92, and on our ascent to the summit, it had started as a really nice day, and the clouds then slowly rose up, and engulfed us, and it started to snow. And we kept climbing, and all of my bells and whistles were saying, Ed, turn around before it's too late. And the guys that I were with weren't really as alarmed as I was, and I should have listened to my intuition and turned around, but I kept putting off that decision every half hour, and the next thing you knew it, I was on the summit. But coming down, it was quite harrowing, and I thought we weren't going to make it down because of the severe avalanche conditions. And you know, when I did make it down, I was real angry with myself for what I'd done just to get to the top of the mountain.
Start to realize the high that these guys must get when they summit these incredible mountains.
And some of the stories that these guys have, I mean, a lot of them have been in truly life and death situations.
It was the only mountain I'd ever been on where, you know, people climbing around us were dying.
But I do admire these people, but it seems like in retrospect, a certain foolhardiness to defy nature and try to get up to a position where if the weather changes at all, it's suddenly you're in a death sentence up there.
If it storms high on K2, my advice to anyone going to K2 is to drop everything and run for your life. It's just a really unforgiving mountain to be on, and when a storm's coming.
You've got a major storm coming in from the south. You've got to start down.
Who is this?
Peter Garrett, did you copy about the storm?
The scenarios on the movie, I mean, the weather and the fact that there's people, you know, pushing very hard for the top, not willing to turn around. Those are all very typical scenarios.
I'm sorry, Elia. I am. But you are paying me to make these decisions.
I thought I was paying you to get me to the top.
I think everybody can say ideally how they'd react in a life or death situation.
None of us are gonna make it. You wanna survive? Go and get it. That's what I thought.
You don't know if a plane was going to crash, if you'd be the person who was helping children or you'd be the person who's knocking them out of the way.
That's gonna be a speed ascent climbing in pairs.
I think it's suicide.
There's not a chance he's not going after her.
We're going to take the audience on a magic carpet ride.
This was never going to be an easy movie to make.
The movie's going to be just a tour de force.
You have to go into a blind. If you thought about it too hard, you'd never do it.
They got 22 hours if they're lucky.
Don't risk it.
I won't let my sister die.
That's the best reason to make something, because you're afraid of it.
And at the end of it, we want them to stagger out of this movie as though they've been to the top of K2.
I didn't believe it.
People are going to be blown away by it.